Record in 2022 TR 1905, State versus Taryn Lynn Baker. Please announce appearances.
Your Honor, Darren Deviney on behalf of the state.
Your Honor, Darren Patterson appear on behalf of Taryn Baker, who does appear via Zoom audio visual. Judge, there are two charges here. I would announce that the state has agreed to dismiss the expired tag charge. I have that as count one, and my client would be entering a plea of guilty to the operation of motor vehicle without the required device, ignition interlock.
That is your agreement, Mr. Deviney?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Baker, how do you plead to count two, operating a motor vehicle without the required ignition interlock device following a DUI?
I had agreed to that within the circumstances of the plea agreement that I think Darren was discussing with the prosecutor.
All right, so you are pleading guilty to
Guilty to that, yes.
to take advantage of a plea agreement?
To my understanding.
Well, we need to make sure you understand. Are you pleading guilty because you believe you are guilty?
Correct. I do plead guilty.
Okay, so it's not just to take advantage of the plea offer, but because you feel you are guilty?
Correct. I was operating on that evening the motor vehicle without the interlock, so I plead guilty.
Okay, and you were under the terms of your driver's license required to have an ignition interlock device?
I believe it's restricted I believe at the time it was still restricted. I had been going through multiple agencies with the car that I have to get that interlock put in. I recently got a job. I'm a single mother of 3 kids. Finances were also an issue. At that night that I left, I have my son, which was at that time 7 months old. He was out of formula. I left the house to go to find formula. I hadn't been driving prior. I didn't even know my tag was expired. So, it was an emergency situation. So, I don't really know if that answers your question. I do apologize.
Okay, I think you do. And was this June 24th of 2022?
Correct. And I do have the interlock, and I got it very recently after that, and as well as my tag on my car.
All right. And this night that you were driving without the device, where were you driving when you were pulled over or approached about it?
Yeah. So my first stop was Dillon's. During this
Dillon's in what town, please? I'm sorry.
Andover, Kansas.
Okay.
There was of course, the formula shortage in that time period. Didn't have what I needed, so I was heading to Walgreens. At that time, I got pulled over. Ended up not making it to Walgreens. I was released, headed straight home. Of course, and then that following Monday, I had a family member take me to get my tags taken care of, and then take my vehicle to get the interlock. So, but that's, that was the direction I was going that evening in the places.
All right. So you were at the Dillon's Andover, and you went down Andover Road to the Walgreens?
Yeah, that's where I was trying
to go. One in Andover? Okay.
Correct. Right. As closest as I could to home. I wasn't, yes.
Okay. And you live there in Andover? I
do, right by the YMCA here.
All right. So I do have jurisdiction, and we're within the statute of limitations being June 24th of 2022. You've given me the elements of the violation, so I do find you guilty of count 2. Operating a motor vehicle without required ignition interlock. Mm-hmm. Recommendations, Mr. Deviney, from the state for sentencing?
Your Honor, this is a Class A misdemeanor. I'd recommend a 90 days in jail, but 6 months. In this case, I'd request reporting probation. Given the nature of the charges. My other concern, Your Honor, and one latent concern here, is that the defendant was ordered to go get booked and processed, and we still have pending in the filing cabinet, at least in my file, that we did receive an arrest or an affidavit from the jail that she had failed to turn herself in and get booked and processed on this case. She was supposed to do that on September 20th of this year.
If I may, I think she had told me that she's already been arrested on that and has been booked in and processed. Is that right, Ms. Baker?
Yeah, and I was not aware that I was even supposed to get fingerprinted, or that would have been the first thing I would have done.
Ms. Baker, that's good. She's already been processed though on the warrant.
Yeah, I do have the return arrest warrant, Your Honor, for October 13th of 2022.
Excuse me, Mr. Devaney. Michelle, can you look and see if that is a bond that she has made or not?
I do have a copy of a bond, Your Honor. I don't have the date. It looks like it was issued on October 13th. That would be the execution of the warrant, at least be in line with that. She had a $1,000 surety bond issued.
All right, and Mr. Devaney, that was signed December 12th, right?
Sorry, no, Your Honor, it was signed on October 13th.
October 13th, and I ordered it September 14th. So what took you so long to get out there, Miss Baker?
I was not aware that I was even supposed to get fingerprints, or I would have been out there the next day.
I'm pretty good about making sure when I tell somebody that they've got a bond and that they need to get their pictures and prints taken. I'm pretty good about doing that either myself or putting you in a breakout room with a deputy and having the deputy go over that and set a schedule for you.
Yeah,
Talking to me about that, or talking to the deputy in a Sallyport room about that?
November 14th, 8 a.m. Okay, I've got that, and I will give Darren Patterson, I will be contacting him. So thank you so much.
Okay. And you appear on a summons, I believe.
I believe that is correct.
You will need to talk with the officers about going out and getting your prints taken.
Okay, so may I ask, so I do need to go in for fingerprinting?
You do, because you have, let me double check. Yeah, you have an A misdemeanor.
Is this going to be an OR bond? Am I going to be able to be released? Is this going to be today? I do have work today, so what should I?
It doesn't have to be today. I'll let you talk with the deputy and she'll make you an appointment. She'll tell you the times available.
Okay.
Let's give you a $1,000 OR bond. You only pay that if you don't come to court. Okay, so Missy, could you connect Taryn Baker and Sallyport 2? So you'll get an invitation, Miss Baker. Just click on that.
No, I did not. I believe there was mention of it that we were starting to delve into, and then we had started talking about diversion at that time. And that's why I went into Darren's office last week. I asked if there was actually recollection of that video. I know it's recorded because I was wanting to go back and review that, because I do know, Your Honor, you are good about, obviously mentioning these things. So, but
how do you know that?
I'm sorry.
How do you know that if you don't remember me telling you that?
So,
At this point in the hearing, the judge began questioning Miss Baker more aggressively about why she failed to appear for fingerprinting and processing on time. Baker tried explaining her financial struggles, childcare responsibilities, and mental SD.
Because I remember the prosecutor at the time, I recollect these last Zoom hearing very well. The prosecutor at the time started delving in and questions if diversion was even eligible. And you had mentioned, you had stated the fact that you weren't sure if I had needed to go get fingerprinting. That was never concluded. Now I've never missed a court date in my life, and we were asking questions.
That's not what we're talking about right now. Right now, we're talking about me telling you to go out and get booked and processed, and signing an order September 16th for you to do that. And apparently you didn't go out till October 13th. What caused you to go out in October?
I got picked up on a warrant for that. If I would have known I was supposed to go in, I would have done that. That way I would have never had to have even been able to have been picked up on a warrant. That interrupted my work. That interrupted me having to call a babysitter for my children. If I was aware, that would have been the first thing I would have ever had gone to do, is go get my fingerprints. It's not that hard. I go in and I get out and I get my fingerprints. I am aware. I was never trying to avoid any of this.
Okay, well, I'm pretty meticulous about that, and I obviously ordered you to do it, and you didn't do it, and you had to have a warrant issued to get you in there for operating a vehicle with an expired tag and operating a vehicle with not having an ignition interlock device after a DUI. And not only that, but then let's go back and look at the notes here. September 14th, my notes say you were here, state by Brett Sweeney. You pled not guilty and did not qualify for diversion, that you would like to apply for court-appointed attorney and did. Darren Patterson was appointed, and that you needed to be booked and processed at the Butler County Jail, and I set a $1,000 OR bond, continuing the case to 11/14 at 8 a.m. Now, following that, October 4th of 2022, there is a note that you called the court, talked to the clerk. Well, you had one before that. Let's see what that was about. During this one anyway, you were very insulting and rude to the clerk that answered the call. You were complaining about Mr. Patterson, and the clerk said, well, write a letter to the judge concerning the issue. You weren't now, don't talk, and you were reportedly in the notes so rude that another clerk took over the call, and you were cursing and yelling and calling the clerk stupid. The clerk was trying to help you and asked you to stop yelling if you wanted that help. You were requesting new counsel, again told to write a letter, and that Mr. Patterson would talk to you prior to court. You continued to call names. The supervisor listened to the entire call, so you had 3 clerks hearing this. And before you hung up, you told the last clerk you talked to that she should have been an abortion. And let's see. So that is how it is reportedly that you have been behaving.
Wow.
Since I last saw you, Miss Baker.
I do apologize. I have been going through a lot of postpartum depression. I was concerned. I was very concerned. I know one of the stipulations was I needed to talk to Darren. I have been going through a lot of mental things with my postpartum and having my son. I definitely owe them a very deep apology if I don't recall saying some of those things, but I do apologize. I've recently gotten put on medication from my doctor for this, and again, that's not the behavior that I want to present within me as a person.
I thought I saw another note on there. Michelle, was there not another note?
Your Honor.
Okay, I see where a clerk entered notes. We received a call from the defendant. It was the same day. Loud, unruly, disrespectful, very vulgar.
Your Honor.
Just a moment, please.
Okay.
You asked the clerk if she could understand English. Could she read and write the English language? Did the clerk graduate from high school or a higher education class that taught her how to read and write? After the questions, the clerk still asked you, how can I help you? And at that point, she put you on speakerphone with the court administrator and a supervisor. Several clerks heard this. She demanded to talk to the prosecutor. They tried to explain that they were the clerk's office, didn't have the prosecutor. Some pretty rough language there. BS and effing liar, other than you didn't abbreviate them, got louder. You gave them the impression you may have been under the influence of alcohol or drugs, possibly. They heard you what sounded like spitting. Then you wanted to speak to the judge, and of course they weren't allowed to make that happen one-sidedly. And they tried to explain that. Then the court administrator herself took over the call and was apparently completely appalled and believed you owed the clerk's office many apologies for especially each of the clerks you spoke to and how rude you were. And she even thought you should write an apology letter to each person that you disrespected. So I think that is appropriate if you're given probation or not. But now someone wanted to speak. Deputy Caulfield, was that you?
Yes, I just wanted to let you know that we did talk to her on September 14th. and sent her out to be processed. She was to process on 9/20 at 10:30 a.m. at the jail. We did talk to her. Yeah, she was supposed to get out there on the September 20th at 10:30 in the morning. And of course, we talked to her on the 14th of September. I think it was
9:20.
was like
You're right, I do.
Hang on. So you, on the day of court after the hearing, you talked to her, officer, you and your staff, and you arranged an appointment for her to be processed at a date and time that was convenient to her schedule, which was the 20th of September. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And then I received notice that she didn't go out, and then she got a warrant issued. And by October 13th, they apparently picked her up, and she was processed at that time, October 13th, a month later. All right. Anyone else want to say anything before I proceed with sentencing?
Here, the hearing became much more serious as the judge addressed allegations about Baker's behavior toward court staff. According to court notes, she had been disrespectful and used inappropriate language during phone calls with clerks. Baker apologue.
No, Your Honor.
All right. Ms. Baker?
Like I said, I've been going through a lot mentally, and you're right. You're absolutely right. Writing a letter, with deep condolences, is expressing my, much empathy. That is definitely something that should be done. I'm very upset that day because I was scared. I was very fearful that I wasn't going to be able to get a hold of Darren before the case. However, that was not a way to relay, because I was angry about that. I was not a way to relay that upon anybody else. So I've really been working on things with my therapist and within my medication. So, but again, my deepest condolences, and however you guys wish to proceed. But I would.
Good. I don't think you've ever gotten my recommendations.
All right, let's hear your recommendations.
And Judge, I would just confirm that I have received from Ms. Baker the proof that she did go ahead and get the ignition interlock put in. That was back in August. Further, that she went ahead and got her vehicle registered, and that was back in June, so that it would be fairly close to the time that she got pulled over, that she got her vehicle registered. So she did try and act fairly quickly to get these things resolved, Your Honor, and become legal on the road, that she is now on a restricted driver's license from a review of the Department of Revenue Driver's Control driver's license status check as of November 9. She is on a restricted driver's license, so that she is in compliance, it does appear. Judge, she has been clearly suffered the embarrassment of being arrested, handcuffed, taken into jail, so that she understands, I think, the gravity of this situation of not following the court's orders, because it did end up being put through that embarrassment. So, Judge, we would ask the court to consider just adopting the recommendations from Mr. Vinny. Thank you.
Thank you. So, Ms. Baker, when you were cited and convicted of DUI, were you put in handcuffs and suffered that embarrassment?
That was, because it was a DUI and because I had been drinking, I don't recollect a lot from that day. This recollection of having the officers show up at my house while I was working, the people that I was working with heard everything. It was something that I never want to go through ever again. I'm trying to be the best person I can for my kids. I'm the only one here for them.
What I think I heard you say is you don't know if it was embarrassing or not when you went through the DUI, because you don't remember the address. You were apparently drunk and didn't remember the arrest.
Well, that was a couple of years ago. Of course, getting arrested is embarrassing. Of course.
Okay, but you don't remember much about that.
Well, It's been 2 years and I've had a child and I've been going through a lot mentally.
All right. And after that, you were required to have an interlock device, but you weren't using it the night of June 24th, 2022. Who was with your kids when you were out driving?
My sister was, but she's not able to legally drive. And of course, I don't want my sister to get in trouble over, my child. So I went and tried to find him food. I mean, she was watching him at home while he was crying because he was hungry. And I didn't know what else to do.
All right. Well, I'm going to give you what I typically do for this offense. I'm going to give you a 1-year jail sentence. What kind of work do you do?
I actually work from home.
Okay. Is that a full-time job?
It is full-time, 18 and yeah.
And how many children do you have?
I have 3 kids.
Do you get child support for any of them?
I'm supposed to, but I don't. I take care of them financially myself.
Okay, I'm going to give you a $100 fine. I'm going to give you $108 in court costs and $250 to be paid towards your attorney fee.
Okay.
$60 probation supervision fee. I will start you out on a 1-year reporting probation.
Okay.
All standard conditions will apply, and your probation officer will go over those conditions with you.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Just so I can understand the sentencing.
Certainly.
Is it a 1-year underlying, given that, obviously I do what I'm supposed to on probation, and then if I violate probation, that is what I'm facing is a year, right? I don't have to do, okay.
I'm not going to make you start out doing any jail time. I'm going to suspend that, provided you are successful for 1 year on reporting probation.
Okay.
You are going to write a letter of apology, a very thought out letter of apology to the clerk of the district court. One letter will to cover all of these things you said, and that
Can
is
I get
just
a name to address that to?
no,
please?
you just
No.
address it to the clerk of the district court,
Okay.
and you will give it to your probation officer, and they will critique it and see if it's appropriate to forward to the clerk or not. But that behavior will not be tolerated towards the staff of the court, to the court service officer that will supervise your probation. And I'm not going to give you much leeway, Ms. Baker, so you better make sure you know what they want you to do, what the court wants you to do, and you better do it.
Of course. Will do.
No alcohol, no drugs, no missed appointments. And you said you live in Andover. They will decide whether they want you in person, by telephone, by Zoom, but I do want some abilities to give random UAs to make sure that you're not overdoing the medications that you're prescribed or adding them to alcohol or something illegal.
Okay.
You will pay 1/12 of the total due each month by the close of business on the last business day, starting with the month of December 2022 and each month thereafter. And you will call the probation department as soon as we adjourn, and their number is, are you ready?
Yes.
316-322-4153. I also want to state that I'm not happy that I feel like you have been less than candid with the court, telling the court you weren't told to go out and get processed. And clearly you were.
Right. Right.
And I'm not going to put up with any more mistruths from you from this point either. So Don't be lying to people, in other words, but
I'm not trying to. I do apologize, Your Honor.
okay, well, I want to make sure these are sincere apologies and not just because you're smart enough to know who holds the consequences over your head. But I don't want you talking to any of the staff any more than you would talk to me that way. They don't deserve that. No one does. All right. Anything else we need to take up, Mr. Devaney?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Patterson, anything further?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Teal, you're on here from Court Services. Is there anything as a Court Service Office representative you need me to address? Probably let her step away from her desk again. All right. Okay, you may go, Ms. Baker, but you call your probation officer as soon as you're off of here.
In the end, the judge sentenced Miss Baker to 1 year of probation along with fines and court fees, while suspending any jail time as long as she complied with probation rules. She was also ordered to write a formal apology letter to the court staff.